welcome back to I Was Thinking with Nafees and Simone. I'm Nafees.
And I'm Simone, and I hate it here, and I keep thinking I'm in the bad place, but there is no Michael around me to fix my memory. So yeah, I think I'm in the bad place. I'm in the bad place. No, because every time I leave my house, I'm like, why do I keep seeing Trump flags everywhere I go? He lost. The hold of white supremacy. Because it can't be Trump. It can't be Trump himself. I refuse to believe it. I'm sorry. Just after what happened on the 6th, this country. But I'm Simone, guys. No, this is staying in, okay? I'm over it.
Sure.
Yes, it's fine. I don't care. I'm over it. How's it going, Nafees?
Not too bad. It's going.
That's good.
What about you?
I'm a little tired, if you can't tell, from my new job. Not that it's going bad. It's just I'm not used to working or standing on my feet for a long period of time. But other than that, I surprisingly enjoy it, since I said I never wanted to work in hotels, and I ended up working in a hotel. So yeah.
Is it one of those big hotels or a mom and pop?
No, it's family owned, so it's small and privately owned.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's not bad. So see how the universe works. But anyway, enough about both of us. What are we talking about, Nafees? Because we have some special guests waiting for us.
We do. So we're going to talk about relationships today.
Yay, because it's supposed to come out on Valentines Day. Love.
Oh,
very nice.
And with us today, if you heard them, and you would also have heard them in a previous episode where we did our little family 20 versus 30 comparison. Look at me. I'm already messing up. I'm so frazzled. I'm sorry.
Good.
We have Matt and Rebecca back joining us. So round of applause. Yay!
Hello.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having us back.
No problem. It was actually a special request from Nafees because she really liked, especially Rebecca's advice that you gave.
Yeah, I did.
So she wanted you back. Miss with words of wisdom, Rebecca.
Oh, thanks.
She's an old soul, for sure.
Yes,
I've just been through a lot. Learned the hard way along my life.
That's it.
So how are you guys doing today?
We're good.
Doing
It's
well.
a nice Sunday. Trying to clean the house. I feel like it's always a hot mess, but life with kids.
And jobs.
Yes. Jobs. Yes. Jobs.
Never a dull moment.
Yeah.
That's good.
But also a lot of dull moments.
I'm confused. So it is dull or isn't dull?
It's both. I mean, life. You have good moments, but you also have lulls.
Like the routine part of it.
Yeah, like the routine. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Getting up every day, going to work, coming home, making dinner, cleaning, laundry, those things. Taking care of the kids. I mean, playing with them is fun because they always keep it interesting, but it's reminding them to clean up and reminding them to do all the things that they're supposed to do.
How old are they?
7 and 9. So Amelia, our daughter, is 9, and then we have a son, Milo. He's 7.
Wow.
So they're a little in that independent phase, which is nice. We're not doing diapers and bottles and baby food anymore. And they can do simple cereal and oatmeal and stuff like that, which helps. And they can clean up after themselves and stuff like that. And then they're in that fun age where they still want to play with us and do fun things. But, they complain about cleaning and
They're a little sneakier now than they were before.
Yeah.
Catch them around the corner. Yeah. Big time.
Especially with candy. They love candy.
Yeah.
Gotta watch them. But it's a fun age. I think this is probably my favorite compared to when they were babies. I feel like babies are rough.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Babies are very cute
Super
and cuddly,
cute.
which is why I think grandparents are obsessed with grandbabies because they get to enjoy that part and then give the kid back to the parent. Because the night times is probably the worst with the newborn.
Oh, it's like torture. It's every 2 to 3 hours they're up. So it's you never get a full night's sleep.
Yeah.
For months.
Yeah.
For
and
months.
so you're just tired all the time. Thankfully, Matt and I worked really well as a team. And so we came up with shifts. So when they were really little, it would be every other shift. Every other time they woke up, it would be he would get up, then I would get up the next time. So we at least got 4 to 6 hours straight of sleep. And then when they only got up once a night, we would have every other night would be our night. So that was nice because there's a lot of like my friends that their husbands don't help at all. And I was like, oh, I would have had to like, I don't even know. You wouldn't be surviving right now.
Out on the streets.
Okay, like that would be so rough for me. But yeah, so thankfully we were able to do that. That helped a lot when we were like going through that. And it brought us closer together, too, because we really worked as a team instead of like one feeling like overwhelmed with everything. But
no, that's good to hear.
Awesome.
I mean, like you were saying how some of your friends are like their husbands wouldn't help at all. You don't really hear that.
I know. I tell my friends now, I'm like, oh, this is what we did. What worked for us. They're like, your husband actually got up. I'm like, yeah. Is that not normal?
I thought everybody was doing it.
Right? Matt's like, what do you mean? I could have slept all night?
It should be normal. That's true.
Yeah. It should be. It's both of your babies and you're both capable of taking care of them.
You both had equal parts in making the child. So,
And it's good bonding, even though you're exhausted. Like, it's still time that you're spending with them. But it's rough being woken up in the middle of the night, like out of like nowhere with the screams. I don't think you ever get used to it.
Yeah. PTSD.
So are you guys prepared for like when they start becoming preteens and teenagers?
Oh,
I mean, I feel like your kids, honestly, they're really good. So I'd be really surprised if they go through a huge rebellion stage. Everyone has their moments.
Right.
So obviously it's going to come, but I don't think it's going to be honestly that big. They seem really close to you guys. So I feel like personally knowing you guys, knowing the kids, that shouldn't be something to worry too much about.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hopefully.
We try and like keep an open line of communication. Like our thing is always like, just tell us the truth. Like, I don't care what it is. And we always tell them that, like, we don't care what it is. Like, as long as you tell us the truth or just come talk to us, like, we'll help you figure out whatever you have to figure out, because we're huge proponents of like consequences, especially natural consequences. But I'd rather you tell me and I can help you navigate that than you hide it from me, because it'll always be like so much worse. Yeah. So I like want to drill that in their head now so that when they do become teenagers and start doing even sneakier things or riskier things like that, they still feel comfortable coming to us. But I mean, I'm all for the like dyeing the hair, cutting it off. Millie cut her hair already. So like, I'm down for that side of the rebellion. I'm like, express yourself. Like, let's see how like crazy we can get. So that part I don't mind. It's more like the lying part or like the attitude or the friends become more important than family part of it that I'm a little nervous about. Because friends can, they are raised different. Everybody's raised differently. So sometimes they can just have a different effect on you or be like more experienced in certain things or more, our kids are pretty naive, I would think. And I'm just nervous about like people showing them things that they haven't experienced yet.
Because each kid, like each parent parents their kids differently. Like some parents want their kids to be exposed to everything early so they know how the world is. Mm-hmm. And then you have other parents that want their kids to be kids. And when those two children like collide, like there could be a lot of trauma, I feel like, involved in that. So that relationship is important. And Rebecca helped me with that because my childhood was very traditional in the sense that like you're the child and I'm the parent. And you listen to what I say. And
Yep. I know that for sure for mine. And not even just that, but I feel like also sheltered in a sense. Mm-hmm. Where like, if you had a question, it's like, oh, I mean, you're too young. You don't really need to know about that now. I'm like, okay. Yeah. So like when? Because I'm older now and it's like, he never told me, but you expect me to know it. And it's like, that didn't help either. So.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's tricky. It's very tricky, but Rebecca's helped me with trying to break because like in therapy, you learn that majority of everything, all your issues as an adult comes from childhood. Mm-hmm. So the way I was raised, it's been hard for me to raise my kids the opposite of how I was raised. Like to raise them like, they have opinions and, well, what do you want to do today? It's not, this is what we're going to do today. And you sit down and be quiet. So it's been very helpful to at least learn how a relationship is supposed to be with them, even though like I'm not perfect with it yet. And it's very hard to break myself from what I know. But it's good to know the correct track that I should be aiming for.
So what are your parenting styles, Matt and Rebecca? Like, is it like similar or is it like different?
Oh God,
I say it's different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm more of the
yeah, it's a little different.
I'm more of the like like the, I don't know what to call it, like the last stop. Like Rebecca she's the very understanding and sweet and nurturing. And then like I'll be listening in the background, and when I hear like the kids giving too much, like, okay, you talking about a little too much, like I'll come in and be like, what did your mama say? So I think I'm more the authoritative is a proper thing. But I try not to do it in a harsh way, more of like firm and assertive as opposed to mean and angry. But it's tough.
Yeah, it's tough because then I have certain triggers. Like I can't stand when they like mess up like stuff around the house, especially after we like literally just cleaned. I don't know why it irks me so bad. And I have to like talk myself down because I'm like, are you really going to traumatize them over a dirty house? Like, is it really not serious?
That, because like when I get done cleaning my bathroom, I'm like, okay, I don't want to touch it. And then all of a sudden I have to go to the bathroom. Like I just cleaned this.
Yes.
Like give me an hour before I start messing it up again.
What triggers me is like when I'm washing the dishes, right? And it's like clean, nice and clean counter. And then there's someone with their dirty dish there. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Just wash it.
Like I just got done. It's sparkling.
Yes.
Not anymore.
No, not anymore. It's like it literally lasts like 5 seconds in this house. And like it's so funny. Like I can literally see like Amelia is really bad with it, but I can understand because it's like her attention span. And so like I know she doesn't have any like malintent, but I'm like, I don't know how to correct this behavior without losing my mind because I feel like every time I see her like little piles of like half done stuff, like I want to go nuts. So last night I was like, that's it. I'm like, you guys have your room. That's your room. If you want it to be messy, that's great. Like you can do whatever you want to do in your room, but out here is a common area and you have to respect the common area. And that's because that is ultimately the lesson. I feel like that's most important. It's not about being clean, but it's about like respecting other people that you live with, respecting the common areas and things like that. And like knowing where you can be clean and where you can be messy. So I told them though, I'm like, but I don't want to hear you ask me like where your shoes are, where your clothes are, like nothing. Cause if it's in your room and it's messy, that's not my problem that you can't find it. So that was like the compromise. I was like, I won't comment on how messy your room is. I won't like, make you feel bad about it. It's your space. So like, I try to find the balance and like what the big picture lesson is. Like, it might take me a while to get there because it really like irks me, the dirtiness of it. But like, I try ultimately to find like, what is it that I truly want them to learn from this lesson? And like, what is it that really matters? Because I don't want to make them have a complex about it either, or like feel bad, like, or mommy's only happy with me when my room looks a certain way. Because then that teaches them to be like people pleasers when they get older. And like, I definitely don't want them to be that way either. So, but it's rough because you have to like put some of your stuff aside to make sure that you're grooming them in the right way to like build them up, especially like Millie. I'm very like aware of it because I don't want her to grow up to be somebody that puts herself second to other people, like I feel like as women, like it's so common and that's like such a common message for us from like birth. And I know like that was the message I got, whether my parents meant to or not. I just think it happens that, you have to do X, Y, and Z for me to give you praise or happiness or love. And you don't. Like you're a human and you deserve praise, love, and happiness for just being who you are, whether you're messy or clean, So it's hard to find that balance and make sure you're not crushing them in the process.
Dang, Rebecca, you preaching to me right now. It is Sunday. I'm getting a word right now. No, but I mean, that's true. Because I didn't even think about that. Sorry, I have Bella in my lap right now. So
that's okay.
Hey, Bella.
People can't see, but I have I think I've mentioned Bella before, tiny teacup Yorkie. This is the only child I need right now.
She's the cutest ever, literally.
So, but yeah, I guess I always forget that we are kind of taught basically since birth, like, oh, don't really put yourself first.
Yeah. Yeah. And like all the subconscious messages we get as little girls, it's like she wanted to cut her hair off. Like her hair is super short like mine now. And, you know, like when I was a little girl, it was like, oh, girls should have long hair. And, you know, and that whole conversation.
To your back.
So I was like, are you sure? Because I didn't want her to do it just because I had short hair either. So I wanted to make sure we had a conversation before she did it. Just, you know, like you should want to do this for you, not because you want to look like me or anybody else. Like you should want this for you. And when I found out like that was really what she wanted, I'm like, cut your hair. Like it's your hair. It'll grow back. Like express yourself how you want to express yourself. And like she's been happy about it. And it's really nice to see her have so much self-confidence as a 9-year-old little girl. Like it's really nice to see.
Oh, that is good. All right, we are jumping a little bit around our topics, but so let's bring it back because, like I said, almost kind of like, but it's all good. I mean, this is all still relationships that I don't think a lot of people really talk about, because when you say the word relationship, people are just like, okay, man, woman, fall in love. We don't always talk about like family relationships, relationships with yourselves, friendships. Yeah. It's all important. But to tie it back to couples relationships, let's put the focus back on both of you. So, of course, the most common one, because I don't even know this one. How'd you guys meet? And I put, was it quote unquote love at first sight, if you guys believe in that? It's not if you don't, but I just thought it'd be, you know, I mean, I know you guys are like high school sweethearts, right? That nice little saying, kind of.
Yeah. So I'm very technical and logical, so I don't believe in love at first sight, but we were definitely attracted to each other. Like, you know, you got the lust at first sight.
Of course.
So do you want to tell the story? You're probably a better story.
Come on, Matt, I believe in you. Or is it because the story might be different than what Rebecca remembers? Is it that type of thing?
Yeah, she'll probably tell it in a more like, I don't know, a better light. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So we met actually, like officially met at grad night, our senior year. So like I had known Michaela, his older sister, who was in the same grade as my older brother in high school, but I literally never saw Matt on campus. I think I saw him one time freshman year walking with Michaela into school, and I asked my brother, like, who's that? And he told me, oh, that's Matt, Michaela's little brother. And I was like, oh, and that was literally the last time I ever saw him until senior year. I don't know where he went. We went to the same high school. I don't know where he disappeared to on campus, but
I mean, I have to admit, because we went to the same high school. That high school had a lot of kids, so I don't blame you for never seeing each other again.
Yeah, it did. But we literally never saw each other until senior year. He started hanging around with like the people that I hung around with, and we never really talked. And then grad night, 2 weeks before we graduated, we ended up in the same like friend group going on all the rides and stuff. But we didn't start talking until right before we went on the ferry to come to go back to the buses to go home. And he like had some ice cream or something and asked me if I wanted some. And I was like, oh, okay. And then we started talking from there. And like the whole ferry ride, I was like, man, I feel like I know him. Like, I feel like I've known him for like ever. And I wanted to be like, are you sure I had never met you before? Like, he just felt familiar, like, and comfortable and easy. So like I felt
real easy.
Yeah. I don't know if it was like love at first sight, but it was definitely like best friend vibes at first sight. Like he was just like, I felt like I could talk to him forever. I could hang out with him forever. I think I even like stalkerish was like, where are you going to college? And then like I found out we both got into FSU, and I was like, oh, if he says he's going to FSU, I might go. And I'm like, that is so stalkery. Like, you have a problem. Don't do that. But it didn't end up that way. And then we just kind of became friends after that, like after grad night, right? Like I think you invited me. We started talking on MySpace. Yeah.
Oh God, MySpace.
Yes. Yeah. All the way back.
Yeah, I would like write her poems and.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
and then
cute.
we hung out. I came to your house. He cooked me like food, like crabs and stuff.
Green beans.
Yeah. And we hung out for the first time at his house. And then we just were friends. It was kind of crazy, but but I was dating somebody at the same time. So we had a little bit of a rocky beginning to our relationship. I was like in a 3 or 4 year terrible relationship that I thought wasn't terrible because you're young and you're in love and you're dumb. But so there was like some overlap because when Matt went to college, he went to Hampton University. And we would talk on the phone like all the time. And I broke up with the person I was dating. And then I told Matt like I wasn't really ready to date, but I really liked Matt a lot. And then he asked me to go out with him and I was like, yeah. And then I ended up cheating on him because he was at Hampton and it was terrible. And I broke his heart. It was really bad. It took years to get over that. So we kind of like, after that happened, we broke up. No, we dated for sure. Like after that, you found out, after a little bit, we started dating for like a long time. It was like a year. And then he broke up with me and told me he didn't want to see me anymore or talk to me ever again. And then my aunt died. And then we had a baby. We got pregnant and had a baby. And then we were stuck together ever since then.
Wow.
Stuck together.
The truth is really coming out today.
And then he wouldn't go away ever since then. No, but I'm really glad. I always like say that my uterus chose him because it was so random that we got pregnant. It was so bad, but I just felt like it was meant to be. Like, I don't know. It was the best thing that ever happened to my life. So,
and mine.
But that is our crazy story. It started off so nice, like so romantic, and then it got so rocky and bad.
So rocky.
And then it got so great again. So, yeah.
So that's how we met.
That's our love story.
Thankfully, like you were saying, there was something there that obviously still brought you guys together, no matter like all the mess. So you were able to get past that.
Yeah, like it was the worst. When he told me he didn't want to talk to me more, I was like, oh my goodness, that's so terrible. But I understood, like I got it because I really did hurt him. And it was like, I felt so terrible. I was really young and really immature and very wrong. And so I got it. Like I understood why he didn't want to go forward because he really cared for me. I think I just wasn't in a place to understand like what good love looked like.
Yeah.
And so I couldn't accept it. Yeah. Like what a healthy person was. And so I couldn't accept it. And I felt terrible that I like hurt such a good, pure, like good person. But I appreciate that he gave me another chance.
Yeah. Because that also takes a lot of strength.
Yeah, totally.
Wow. I mean, I learned something new because that's my first time hearing that. So I don't think I've actually asked you guys. So
yes. And I remember being pregnant and then that's when I first met Ed, was when they were living together and I was pregnant and I would go over there all the time. I felt like all his friends hated me.
You think my brother hated you?
Yes, he totally did.
He probably did in the beginning.
In the beginning, which I got, like, you know, that's
But he hated
fair.
me in the beginning too, so.
What do you mean he hated you in the beginning? Oh, for going back?
Huh?
Like taking her back or no?
No, like in the beginning of our friendship, of me and his friendship.
I think that's just my brother.
Yeah,
I
think
love
so
you,
too.
BJ, for listening to this.
Yeah, but it was crazy. And then had like I lost somebody really close to me and then we got pregnant. And so it was a lot. In like our first year of marriage, we always laugh and say that it felt like the first 10 years of our marriage was like in that first year.
Yeah, first year was rough.
It was super rough. Because we literally, like, I got pregnant and he was like, do you want to be my girlfriend? Like, we weren't even dating.
No, we weren't.
Yeah, so.
Because I was going to say, you guys got married after Millie got here, right?
Yeah, she was like 3 months old when we got married.
Yeah, but like I always try to tell Rebecca, like I knew I always wanted to settle down with Rebecca. I wanted to marry her, have kids with her, all of that. I just didn't intend for it to happen at that time. But because
and that quickly,
because I just called her and told her like I miss you. This is after we broke up. It was almost a year, and so we started talking slowly again. And like she wanted some assurances from me to protect her heart. And I was like, I'm not finna give you no type of assurances because you just destroyed my heart. No, like we could start slow and we could see where it goes. And then other things happen. She got pregnant. And so in my mind, it was like, well, I always wanted it to be Rebecca. And I always wanted my kids to grow up with like married parents, just because that's how I was raised. So it was something that I wanted to do, like for my kids. So it wasn't the right timing. Like I would have, if I had to choose, I probably would have waited. I mean, I was so young.
We were so young. We were like 21.
Like we hadn't traveled the world, like nothing. So the timing was earlier than I wanted, but it was always going to be Rebecca in my mind. So I tried to explain that to her, but that was one thing that really bothered her. Like she felt like I got trapped into being with her and I didn't leave because we had a kid, which is a valid thought. But in my mind, like I just always thought about it differently. So
that's interesting that you brought that up, because I was also going to ask, do you think, I guess girls don't think about it that much because we always think we're the first ones that like know when we want to get married and have kids, like, because you thought of that as a young age. So do you think like when a guy knows, they know? Because I feel like...
Yeah, did you know when you were sharing that ice cream with Rebecca that she...
Yeah, because I feel like we always have a perception where guys don't think about it until like they're after, 25, 26? And you knew pretty young, so I don't know if it depends on the man or like they always know and they just like don't always want to share it.
I think it depends on the man. I'm sure a lot of it comes to like how you were raised and like whoever you looked up to as a role model, which one of the ones for me was my dad. And I always liked the way he treated my mom. And Rebecca she was just the first girl that I ever could see myself truly having a relationship with. Like our conversations, like we made each other laugh. We talked about conspiracies, just goofy, silly stuff. And it just felt like we weren't forcing anything. It was just natural. So, and I did know at a young age, like I always wanted to be a dad and a husband. It was completely different. Like once I actually got into it, don't get me wrong, it wasn't what I thought it would be.
It never is until it actually happens.
Yeah.
It never is. But I did think about it a lot.
Did you date before Rebecca? Like, have you dated before getting with her?
Not really. I didn't really have a serious girlfriend. And all the ones that I did have, like one was in church and I was like under 10 and that one ended. Like we got married under a church and under some tree at the church. And
playground love.
It just didn't end well. I can't even remember what happened, but I think she just decided she was done with me one Sunday. And, that was it.
Divorced at an early age. Oh,
no. At an early age. So I had been through a lot. And then my second girlfriend in middle school, she broke up with me twice for the same reason, which was because I was too soft.
So why would she date you again if she thought you were too soft for the first time?
I went into hard training. Like I started being mean to people and like talking back to the teachers.
Oh God, this is such
and then we dated again.
Weird and bad rom-com.
I was still too soft. So I didn't really have a good experience dating until Rebecca.
And then it was bad.
And then she broke my heart. So, But no, thankfully.
Do you ever think that he's too soft, Rebecca?
No, I think he's amazing. I mean, he is literally like one of the most open-minded people I've ever met. And I personally never, ever, ever wanted to get married or have kids. And then I met Matt. But that was because I don't like the traditional, like, male and female, like, gender norms or roles. Like, they really irk me. Because I feel like women are just as powerful as men. I feel like we both have different powers, but I feel like, we're equal. And a lot of it was like, I looked down on like, why should women have to serve men and blah, blah, blah. And I had not so great, like, outlooks on love in the sense of like, I didn't see it as a two-sided thing, but maybe that's just because of like relationships that I've seen in my childhood and stuff like that. Like it didn't in my experience, it didn't seem equal and it didn't seem fair. But then I met Matt and I told him, I'm like, I'm not going to be cooking and cleaning and doing all these things. So you can get that out of your head now. And like, he was like, okay. And he, for like the first, I would say like 8 years of our marriage, like cooked almost like every meal. Like he, you know, like he is a very like service type of person. So I don't see it as him being like soft. I just see him, he serves the people that he loves, and it inspires me because I'm like, oh, like that's actually like very healthy. Like you should be, both of you should be serving, and like both of you should be doing things for the other and like compromising for the other one. So like he literally has taught me so much about like what a healthy relationship is. And so no, like I don't see him as soft at all. I see he has like a huge heart, and just like he's the best husband and father that I could have ever dreamed up or like created in the universe or could have ever imagined. Like he really is just amazing. So,
aww.
And like, what is the definition of soft? Honestly,
yeah.
So, like, what is your definition of soft compared to my definition of soft?
Right.
And then I also feel like that also goes into toxic masculinity, which I feel like more people are talking about. I'm like, so just because he's nice, he's soft.
Soft? Yes, exactly.
So,
or that he has manners.
Yeah. Something we're not used to see. It just means he's not. I don't know. That makes him less attractive.
Yeah.
It's so
like, I mean, I'm so like, I can be very like liberal and open-minded. So like, I couldn't have been with a person that was very rigid.
Right.
Like even just like allowing our son to like play with dolls and Barbies and dress up in princess dresses or paint his nails if he wants to and do those types of things. And like, even if like Matt has felt maybe uncomfortable or whatever, like he's never projected that onto like Milo and or like stifled him from experimenting or being like who he wants to be. And like that means so much, you know, like it's so hard to find guys that are okay with those things and like or don't like stifle their kids because of their own stuff that they have going on. So
yeah,
like I felt blessed that I met him and like we just matched.
That's awesome.
It is.
How did your relationship affect your relationship with others, like your friends and your family?
I mean, we got a little bit of insight when you told us about the past, but probably what about when you guys actually were more into the marriage?
Like, was there like conflict between like you and your parents because of Rebecca, and then the same for you, Rebecca, like for vice versa?
Well, my parents loved Matt. Like my dad is so ridiculous. Like I can't even with him. He like hated my ex-boyfriend, but like when he met Matt, because Matt is like a true gentleman, like he would open the door for me, like, you know, let me go first through things. Like he literally had like his mom and dad gave him great manners. And like my dad loves that and always told me like that's the type of guy that you should be with. But not only that, like he's just polite and smart and kind. So like my dad, I think, fell in love with Matt before I did, like truly. And like he literally was like, he was just ridiculous. Like he told me finally, like when we were getting married, he's like, you know, I didn't want to say anything about him because I felt like if I said I liked him, that you wouldn't want to marry him. So like he was so over the moon. Like my parents love Matt. So they didn't really give us any trouble, like with just me being with Matt. Like I think they were like, my dad always says like he's the best son-in-law that he could have asked for his daughter. So that was good for me.
And my parents, they always liked Rebecca. Since I first brought her around, they're very private with their own relationship, and they extend that to other people's relationships. So they never really asked about like how we were or was everything okay. Like they don't really pry into stuff like that, but they always liked Rebecca and approved.
Yeah, your mom would call me like when we broke up, when he told me he didn't want to be with me anymore, she would literally call me like once a week just to like talk with me. And like keep base. Yeah. And she invited me because they were like selling their house in Florida and we were still not talking. And she was like, oh, can you come over? I want to see you before we move. And she like invited me to come over and he was there. And I'm like, this is super awkward. But it was funny. Like, yeah, she was really supportive. And then when my aunt passed, like she was really there for me for that too. Like his parents have always been just really supportive and great. I think it was more like we had more trouble a little bit more with like extended family and then like maybe friends. But
How so with friends?
Well, I lost friends, not because of Matt, but just because of like the person I was dating was also, they were friends with him also. Yeah. And then I got pregnant and married so young. I was 22 when we got married, like literally just turned 22, like maybe 4 months before. So we were the first of our like
friend group.
Yeah, to like get married, have kids, have like a real life. So I literally lost like all my friends. I think I kept like maybe 2 of them. And I think it's just they couldn't relate anymore. I didn't want to do the same stuff. I've never really been like a partier or like a hanger out. Like I'm so introverted. It's ridiculous. So I was kind of cool with it. I was like, whatever.
Like, bye.
Yeah. See ya. Yeah. The people that hung around are like still my good friends to this day. And then I prefer to kind of like, I don't really prefer. I kind of gravitate more to like older people anyway. So I made a lot more friends like through work and stuff like that. That kind of, but I'm usually just home. I'm a homebody.
It's really ridiculous how so much like me and Rebecca is. Sometimes when I hear her start talking, I'm like, that's why we get along so well.
Yes. Like people
like
know.
a version of me.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I'd rather be home than with like a bunch of people. I can't even deal. Like I can only do it for short periods of time and then I'm like exhausted.
Your social battery starts going down.
Yeah. It like literally drains you.
It does, like straight up. And
Big
then I'm
time.
like, I need to go and like hibernate for like a day to recharge.
That's true, though, especially what I was learning now, like when I got out of high school. And I try to keep in touch with some of like my friends. It's not like we were all in different aspects, like dramatically like that. But, you know, some people move and then start experiencing their own stuff and then make their own friends. And then I do think sometimes I was getting a little jealous, especially like when I thought us growing up, they're like, well, I thought you were supposed to be my friend too, but like you barely get in contact with me. And you just got to realize you guys are changing. Like sometimes your lives don't match up like they used to. Or sometimes I'm like, well, were we really friends or were we friends because we were stuck in school for such a long amount of time and we saw each other all the time? So like I didn't have anyone else, but then like when we left and aren't around each other, you start noticing stuff either you didn't want it to admit or like, you know, yeah. Mostly distant.
So like a same time, same place acquaintanceship, basically.
Pretty much. Yeah.
And I want to clarify, I don't know truly if your brother didn't like me. Probably did. I just want to, that was my experience and my own. Yes, it was. I want to put that because Ed's going to be like, really? I don't know if he did because he's always been super nice to me. You know, you feel guilty. So you're like, he probably hates me too because that's such Matt's best friend. So, you know, I just want to throw that out there
no,
just,
you're fine. And
just
like,
to clarify.
They're really close. So I don't blame you for feeling that way.
Yeah. They're like brothers.
Yeah.
So, and I get it. Like, I totally would get it, you know? But we're good now. He's like my biffle. I love it.
He's probably just more so like checking you out to make sure, you know, like you passed all the tests.
Yeah.
And all that.
Yeah. So it's all good. I mean, I was way too young, but Matt's like my brother too, because I've basically known him since I was born. So
yeah, exactly.
Pretty much.
But it's all good. It's all good. So like basically in the times we're going through now with the pandemic, do you think, I mean, it'll be different for you guys because you are married, but do you think the pandemic in any way kind of changed your relationship with each other? I don't know if you guys were home a lot you were, right? Like during the beginning where like lockdowns and stuff like that. So were you guys like driving each other crazy, being around each other and then like with the kids, trying to figure out stuff to do? Couldn't really go on date nights anymore. I couldn't babysit to earn some extra money anymore.
In like a year.
Right.
Has it been a year?
March will be a year since we went on like, you know, pandemic lockdown-ish, but we haven't had a date in, oh my goodness, I don't even know how long.
We saw Tenet.
Yeah, we saw Tenet. That's right.
That was nice.
But
The pandemic for me, I'll start. It was really good because we've always enjoyed each other's company. With the kids, it changed it because they're so active and like they have so much energy. They want to go out and do things, and because we couldn't really do that, all we really had was in the backyard. So we resorted to playing a lot of, you know, family games, board games inside. We would take them to the park every now and again. but I think they got kind of tired of the same things over and over. Whereas me and Rebecca were like, fine, like
I love being home. This is amazing.
Pull up a good movie or a TV show, and
no social expectation to go outside of my home. Yes, please.
Yeah, and then on top of that, we I started going to therapy. I think it's about 2 years ago now. I'm not sure. And then eventually Rebecca started coming with me, and it turned into couples therapy. And because we were able to continue that through the video conferencing, like telemedicine. So that, I think, has also kind of shifted our relationship. I've discovered so much about myself and her and a lot of the issues that come up in our relationship through therapy. So the pandemic has been like beyond the deaths that we experienced last year and that the world experienced. Like it's been a blessing.
Yeah, it was nice to be able to spend so much time together. And then the jobs that we have in general, like we both get so much time, like, because we both work for the school system. So like we have winter break together, spring break together, Thanksgiving break. Like we have a ton of breaks where the four of us like get to be together. And it's really nice to be able to spend so much time like as a family together. And then we're really good about, because I feel like we're both introverted. And so like, we're really good about being like, you good tonight? Like, I'm good. So when we do our own thing, like he'll play video games, I'll watch TV or read. And like, we're okay with that. And it doesn't like affect it. And we both understand it. And that is really nice.
Or I'll read too. I like books.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my bad. I don't mean just play video games.
I don't like books.
But you do play a lot of video games, let's admit that. No, but that's good.
What made you? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that's good because I feel like also another thing people feel like in relationships, like you can't really be quiet around each other. Like, I don't know if a lot of people are really comfortable with like comfortable silence to where you're quiet, but you're still like comfortable. You don't have to feel the need to talk. Cause I'm like that. If I'm really comfortable around you, like we don't have to be talking all the time. I can literally just sit next to you on my phone. You can do whatever and it's fine. So yeah. And I also wanted to point out, I noticed you guys were talking about like taking them out, which I don't feel like you also see a lot, like with tablets. I feel like most parents kind of just shove tablets to their kids and like do whatever. Well, yes, you do, but you still try to make an effort to like take them out of the bag, get some exercise and board games. Sometimes I forget people like companies still make board games, so.
Right?
Really?
There's a lot of
I
new
feel
board
like
games
everything's
too.
just like on a PC, or even if it is like a board game, it's like a digital board game. So,
but it's not the same thing though, like a digital board game.
It's not. You don't get the
It's
thrill
not.
of like, I don't know. I was gonna say Monopoly, but honestly, to this day, I do not know how to play Monopoly.
I hate Monopoly. I can't stand it. I'm so terrible at it.
Properly played a game to where I actually knew what was going on. I just pretend. I fake it till I make it.
Yeah. I feel you.
It's so bad. I miss. Oh, now I'm thinking of board games. I miss board games. Like Connect 4, your Shoots and Ladders.
I really like Jenga.
Yeah.
Jenga was
fun.
I like Candyland.
Candyland was fun too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have that one. The kids love to play that one. It's really easy for little kids because it's not like there's not a lot of rules in it. And the card, like you literally just flip a card over and it tells you like how many spaces to go or something like that, or what the next color to go to.
It does both.
So it's like super easy for kids.
I know you're playing. One time I was with you, we were hanging out, and you were playing this one interesting game. Was it with monkeys that kind of like taught them moral values?
Oh yeah,
I thought that was interesting. Yeah.
Yes,
that's a good one.
Dope. It's like social emotional learning, and it asks like questions like what do you think you would have done in this situation, or why do you think that they were upset about this, but then it also has cards for like activities, so they get to like get up and like get some energy out, so it keeps them super engaged. They love that game.
It's a really cute game, Nafees. I was like, wow, this is teaching them morals. I've never seen a game like this before.
Yeah. What is this game called?
Q's Race to the Top or something like that.
Yeah.
It's like a little monkey named Q, and he has a tree house, and you're trying to get him to the top of the tree house, and you each have a piece, and you roll a dice, and whatever color you land on, it's like blue, green, or red. It goes to like a stack of cards, and like the red is like little activities, like it helps with balance. Like you stand on one foot and see how long you can do it, or somebody makes funny faces at you and you try not to laugh, things like that. And then one of the other ones is like scenarios, and like, what do you do in this scenario? Like somebody's bullying somebody on the playground. What would you do, or something like that? And then the other one is like questions about you. Like I think it asks like stuff you like to do or something like that, like more getting to know you kind of things. But it's kind of cool. And the kids really like it. They like of course they like the red ones, but yeah, they're like jumping to answer the other ones too. They're like talking over each other, like, oh, I know how to do this. I know, like the answer. So it's cute. They get super into it.
So back on the kids, I mean, you talked about this a little bit, but what do you want to try to teach them as they get older? Like with relationships, and that can literally be any type. So like relationships with themselves. I know you touched on that a little bit, Rebecca, relationships, like when they start dating, or just like friendships. I know you also talked about the friendships a little bit as well, but it also goes to yourself, because you were talking about how you just want to make sure Millie's confident in herself to when she starts having friends, she knows if someone's trying to take advantage of her or not. So
yeah, that's a big one for me.
And that's understandable. So
yeah, and little girls can be like bullied. They start so young, and they make you different, and
they do it to where you don't notice until you get older either. So it can be very manipulative.
Yeah. But definitely like, like to have empathy for others, like, and usually like if they come to us like, oh, well, they did this, and, we try and talk about the situation, and also teaching them like everybody is raised differently. Everybody's parents have different values that they teach their kids, and that they're not always going to look or act the way that you act. And you have to learn how to like navigate that. You have to decide for yourself, like, are you going to tolerate that behavior, or do you want to find a different friend? Are you going to try and help them to learn? Like, do you feel like that they would be willing to listen, to learn a different way of seeing certain things, but just how to like navigate the nuances of friendships, because not everybody's going to be like the perfect friend all the time. And sometimes I feel like people don't teach us like how to take the good with the bad, because nobody's perfect, and your friends are going to do things that hurt your feelings, but it doesn't mean that they're bad people. So, and kids are so dual, like it's either they're to them, people are either good or bad, and there's no in between, but just trying to help them to see that in between with them without letting go of like, their feelings, like, and not thinking that their feelings are valid in that situation too. So it's hard because, you have to do it in a way that's kid friendly. And how do you do that? I don't even know as an adult how to do that all the time. But just talking to them is the best, because usually kids are very intuitive and they kind of already know a lot of things, and they're the most forgiving people ever, like kids, and resilient. Yeah, I think as adults, we like project so much onto them. Like we think, oh, they should be so traumatized by that. So then we're constantly like, are you okay? Like, are you still thinking about this? And we're like constantly harping, and we're re-traumatizing them over and over again. Like, and they're like, no, seriously, I'm good. And now they're starting to question, like, am I good? Like, like maybe I shouldn't be good because you keep asking me about it.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm glad actually that you mentioned that, because I used to tutor for 4th grade before teaching at high school. And like the kids, like they would fight, but then they'd get back like to being friends the very next day, or like within hours. Yeah. And I don't know. I learned like to be more forgiving because of these kids. So it's so, like, even as adults, you learn from children too. So
you do.
Big time.
Super hard. I know a little girl did something so bad to like Millie. It wasn't to her. It was in a situation, and Millie ended up getting blamed for the situation. Mm-hmm. And like, I think I did wrong. Like I harped on it a little too much, but like lesson learned in that scenario. But just to hear the conversation, like to have the conversation with Millie, and she's just like, it's okay, Mom. Like, I'm okay. You know, I forgive her, because sometimes I do that to Milo, or sometimes I tell lies about Milo or exaggerate things about Milo. And like, just to hear like her empathy after she said that, I'm like, okay, Rebecca, like, it's not her, it's you. Like, you have to let this go at this point. Like, she's okay. Like, she's not going to be like taken advantage of. Cause I just think like, oh my gosh, she's so naive. Like, is she going to be taken advantage of again? Like,
that's also your like mama bear and protectiveness coming out too. And I think that's why it's easier for parents to harp on their kids, like you were saying, because I don't think they mean to. Well, hopefully they don't mean to do it, but it also comes from worry. And I don't think people really know how to handle their worries like that. So,
yeah, I worry a lot about them, but sometimes you just, you know, you have to like, I heard like the coolest saying where it's like, we as parents are not like here to shape or mold or prune like our kids. Like, we're just like, they're the plants and we're the like the gardeners. So all we can do is make sure that they have enough nourishment. They have enough like, you know, sunlight, water, or in their kids' case, like food and, you know, support and things like that. And we have to just let them be and blossom into whoever they become. Like, but I think it's, as parents, we know like, oh, well, if you're not good at math or science or in school, you're not going to be successful. And we start to project like all these things, but who knows? Like, they may be the next gymnast and they don't need any of that, or the next artist. And, you know, so they'll figure it out as long as you're supporting them and loving them. But it's hard because society puts so much pressure. Like, schools are so rigid in the way that where they think kids should be and what they should know at this age. And like, when your kid is not there, it's like, they make you feel bad about it. And you're like, oh my gosh, like, or like, is he going to fail? Is he never going to succeed?
Yeah. Or making them feel dumb because like you were saying, they're not the best at math or science, but they can excel in something else like the arts or like gymnastics. But for some reason we look down on those skills. Like, it's not really, you know, important or like helpful, or like we always tell people, oh, I mean, it's not a real job. It's like something either as a hobby or like one in a million thing you can actually be successful in. And like I was telling Nafees, I think the last episode we recorded where we got into some topic about seeing, people our age and they're famous or like more rich. And Nafees said something about, I think she asked me if I was jealous. I'm like, well, no, I was never jealous of like people I don't know and how they got their level of success, or even my friends, because we all measure success differently. So like your success can be different than my success.
Exactly. Yeah. And I feel like society, we forget that. Like, we forget that there's so many different ways to live life. And I feel like we get so stuck on like our way of thinking. And, you know, like, I mean, there's things that there's no arguing, like there's a right and a wrong for certain things, clearly. But for other things and how you get to where you get, like, I don't know. I just don't think it should be standardized or measured. And I think we should allow people like, because what if like I want to be like the best, like, you know, whatever, what do people look down on, like working in fast food or whatever? Like, what if I want to be that? And that's like, I want to be the best possible Like, does that make me like something's wrong with me? Or, you know, like, and why is that a bad thing?
Just any type of service job anyway. It's really weird to me how we look down on that. And then I really feel like the pandemic brought out like, no, these jobs are very important.
Exactly. Exactly. They're necessities.
Just like, being a cleaner, like
grocery
a janitor or something.
Stores.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
And just like working in retail, I always tried my best, knowing how it is now to be like, not just extra nice, but just nice to people working in those jobs. Cause I understand it's hard and I don't know what you're also going through personally. So even if you help me or don't help me, I always try to make sure, like I say, thank you, ask really nicely. You know, it's hard. And it's very hard out there.
Yeah.
It is.
But that's wrapping it back around. That's for me, that's what I want, like, for our kids in all areas of their relationships, is just to be like open-minded, understanding, empathetic, like humans that are secure in who they are and are able to, you know, set boundaries and be assertive when they need to, but just accepting people where they are, because everybody is in a different path and at a different walk of life. And like, it's okay. And they're just as beautiful as somebody that's, you know, somewhere else in their walk of life. And we should accept them and be kind to them, no matter like who it is at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you see your kids struggling with some of the same struggles you had, like self-esteem or things like that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Milo, I feel like struggles a little more. Like Millie has some. But that girl, man, I wish I could be Millie when I grow up. She's on another like wavelength.
So how do you guys deal with that then when you see the same thing being repeated over in their lives?
It's hard. Like if you haven't learned as an adult how to navigate it, which a lot of the lessons I still haven't learned yet. Like I just learned a new one yesterday in therapy. Mm-hmm. So it's hard if you don't have the tools yourself to help them with it. You just resort to, like muscle memory, like things that you've heard or.
Would you mind giving an example?
Like an easy one is Milo doesn't like to lose in anything, like games. And he'll get really, really upset. Like he'll go get his favorite blanket and like his whole face will change. Like, so I could tell he's taking it more than just losing a game. And
he will yell and sometimes like throw things. Like he gets like really, it's better than it used to be, but he'll get like really upset.
So I can tell like he's probably telling himself, because something I struggled with as a kid and a young adult was bad negative self-talk. So when something would happen,
something I still struggle with.
And it's hard. I constantly have to remind myself, but telling myself like, oh, you lost because you're not good enough, or like no matter how many times you practice this game, like you'll always come in last. Like that negative voice just constantly penetrating and becoming how I actually thought about myself. And I think that maybe that's where his expressions come from. Like maybe he has a voice in his head that's telling him that he'll never be able to win anything. He never wins, like these big extremes. So when I see it happen, I try to correct it and just teach him to change that trigger in his brain to think about it differently. Like everybody loses, not everybody can win. Keep trying, keep practicing, you'll get better, and eventually you'll win, stuff like that.
Yeah, that is really hard. Like he does have a lot of like negative self-talk, and like Matt, I also experienced that growing up. And still to this day, like if I make a mistake, oh my goodness, it's way better than it used to be, but you still kind of like beat yourself up or like, ruminate on it and go over it and over it. So it is hard to see. And he's so little and, and then I worry about Millie because she's just not as expressive. So I'm like, is she going through the same stuff? And we just don't know because she's not really expressing it. But like for Millie, it just seems like she just kind of like floats through life. Like Millie just knows, like she's creative. She is like the hardest worker I have ever met in my whole life. Like if she can't do something, you will literally see her just like over it. And it's not in a bad way. She's like having fun while she does it. Like,
that's good.
And and enjoying it. And like, it's okay. Like I'll just get it. And she can figure things out real quickly. Like, but I think with Millie, it's more like the emotional, like trying to get approval through like her behavior that I struggled with the most when I saw it with her. And because that was something that I did. And for me, something that really helped was just learning to love myself, because it would anger me like when I saw her do it. And like, that is not a normal reaction you should have. But like I was furious, but then I realized like I'm not furious with her. I'm furious with me, like with myself, because I know like I do that and I don't like that about myself. And like that's where that trigger is coming from. So just having to like working on myself more has made it so much easier for me to build that relationship with her and to like love her the way that I should be giving her love and not like making her feel bad about herself. But it's hard. It's really hard.
For sure. When did you feel the need to start working on yourself? Well, this question goes to both of you, because like you guys said that you do therapy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that is to work on yourselves, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So when did you feel like the need to do that? Like what triggered it? to say, yes, maybe I should get therapy? Deep question. You don't have to answer it.
No, it's a good question.
Trying to remember.
I started going to therapy by myself after Matt and I broke up. And that was after I realized, like, I hurt him in a way that I've seen, like, other people in my life get hurt. And, like, I made a mistake that I felt... I don't like to hurt people. And I felt like it was just so selfish of me. And, like, I couldn't get out of that space.
Did it shock you that you did something that you saw other people do?
Yeah. And it angered me because it was like, then, the whole narrative start like, this is why I never wanted to be in a relationship. This is why I never, like, you start to, like, beat yourself up. And then I became kind of, like, depressed about it because I also, like, lost my best friend in the process, like not being able to talk to him. So I went to therapy because I'm like, I got to get my stuff together. And that's also because I went to school to be a social worker, and, like, they talk about that. So, and they, you can't help people without helping yourself first, or you'll be triggered, like, all over the place. So I'm like, I need to go to get those things under control. And it was, like, the best thing because I also learned so much empathy from going to counseling, because you start to see kind of the same things in, like, other people, and you can, both sides of it. Like, the side that they're going through, but also, like, that there's another side and that you can get better. So, but it took a long time. That was like, oh my goodness, how many years ago was that? That was like over 10 years ago that I started therapy. And then I stopped for a while. And then I started to go again after I had Millie, because I was very depressed. I had postpartum depression with her. And then I stopped again until we started going together.
Mm-hmm. And I went a few different times. I went once before we were together, and I was just working. And I think I was depressed at the time, and I just didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, and felt so much pressure to be doing what I loved.
Well, you're echoing my thoughts right now, and I don't like it.
And because I wasn't doing what I loved, then I felt like I was unsuccessful or not enough or whatever. And so I got I felt better after doing that. And then I stopped, and then got married, had kids. And I think there just came a point where I felt like I had used all my tools in parenting and our marriage, and had just hit like a block. Like, our arguments were the same. I was getting irritated with the kids at the same things, the same dumb stuff. And I was like, all right, like I need some different tools to help me get through this. So that's what triggered it for me. And I actually went probably 3 years ago and had a really bad experience with a therapist, and then didn't go again for a whole nother year. And then Rebecca told me about another one, and that's who we're with currently.
Yeah.
So yeah, just not being able to navigate situations that in my mind I felt should be simple to navigate, like in a relationship or in parenting. Yeah. That's what triggered it. I was like, I need to learn. There's something I'm not understanding.
That's actually a really good thing, because a lot of people don't get the help they need until it's like too late, I guess you could say. But you guys recognized that and like went for it. So that's pretty amazing. Did you ever have that stigma of like, oh, I'm going to therapy, like there must be something wrong with me type thing?
No, my parents were counselors at our church. Okay. So I had seen that from a young age, and I understood like what it was, and I always understood it, and I was like, well, why wouldn't you want to get better? I never looked at it as, oh, I'm crazy, or I need counseling to do this, or therapy. I just always thought it was like medicine.
Yeah. And I went to school for it. Like I'm in the process of getting licensed now so that I can see clients. So it was.
Oh, nice.
Congrats. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I'll be done soon, probably 2022. But so I kind of always like, I have a great outlook on counseling. I think everybody should go. I think it's just nice to have like an unbiased person that you can bounce like your thoughts off of, because you'll realize like they help you to see, or just even talking about it out loud helps you to see like that you're not like, there's nothing wrong with you. Like we all have thoughts and we all have negative thoughts and we all have experiences that shape us because our brains are like, programmed. They're like computers, and things in your childhood and messages you get like program the way that you respond and react to things now. So like we're all have some of those built in us and we're all doing the best that we possibly can. And it's okay to get tweaked and talked to every so often to kind of like help. But I do hear like there is stigma. Like I did feel a way when I had postpartum because I didn't, like everybody tells you how great it is to be a mom and how amazing it's supposed to feel. And I didn't have that attachment or connection. And then when I had Milo, I did. And I felt so terrible that I never had that with Millie. Mm-hmm. But thankfully, like I had Matt after Millie and like had the wherewithal to know like, okay, Rebecca, like you have to get up, you have to go change her. She's crying. Like you have to go and like meet her needs. Mm-hmm. Even though I was super depressed and didn't have that attachment, like I had the schooling that I, like logically knew what I had to do. But if I didn't, like, I don't even know.
I wonder if that's also just like I don't know anything about postpartum depression, but I wonder in your case if that was just like a first baby thing. Cause like you always brought up, you never thought you were going to be married with kids. Right. So that's why I wonder if that's something in the back of your mind, because you're always like, I didn't want this. So when it happened, it just took you a while to realize it was happening. Because I'm afraid of that, too, because I'm like you. I don't know about marriage. And I'm always like, no, keep those kids far away from me. Like, I mean, I don't know. I just know I don't want it now. No.
Yeah.
But
that's a great point, though.
But I was just wondering, because like I said, I don't know anything about it. But as you talk, I was like, well, maybe it's because, like you were saying, you never thought you'd be in the situation. So when it happened, you unconsciously didn't know how to really, react to it. And then with Milo, it was probably easier because you were used to it. So.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I do. Yeah, I think that's a great point. Like I never really looked at it that way. And I am a slow processor. So it could have just been, I hadn't processed it yet. Like, what do you mean? I have a baby coming.
I'm a mom now. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I have to take care of this thing. What are you talking about?
And it's physically here now. So.
Yeah, that's so true. I never really looked at it that way at all. Probably had a lot to do with it. Yeah, because that was not the path that I had for my life. I didn't really know what path I had for my life, but I definitely knew that was not the option.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's like that for like you were saying how people are always raving about like, because I have friends who are like that too, who always wants to be like parents, settled down. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if they'll experience the same thing or not. They could be like your friends where like they're just instantly in love, always with the baby.
Right.
So
how did that affect your and Matt's relationship while you were going through that? Was it steady or did you feel like, I don't know?
That's a Matt question.
I was like, let me tell you.
No, that was super, super dark. That first year was the darkest point in our marriage, where I even questioned like if it was going to work. Yeah. Because I think before like we knew that she had postpartum, we were just so detached. Like we were trying to raise a human. We weren't communicating, weren't getting along, weren't sleeping well. It's just like things on top of things. Mm-hmm. And it was terrible.
Yeah.
It was really, really hard.
Yeah.
How did you guys come out of that then?
Matt never gave up.
Matt never gave up.
He's persistent.
That's good, though. That's
a good thing. That's a good thing.
Yes. He's extremely persistent. Yeah. He's one of the most persistent people I've ever met.
And I feel like that also goes into he just really cared. Because if he didn't care, I feel like even though he is a persistent type of person, he probably wouldn't put in so much effort. So...
Yeah, like he can always see like the big picture, and like I really feel like blessed to be loved by him because he even in that dark time, like he still knew like I was in there somewhere, and like he'd be like, come on, let's go, we're gonna go for a walk. Like even if I didn't want to get up off the couch, it was like, no, we're gonna go for a walk. And like I always felt better afterwards, and that's like one of the best things you can do for depression is to like get outside. But like he just has really good instincts, and like he was really very, very committed to like our relationship and to me. So yeah, We should have definitely done counseling way back then.
We should have.
But you're doing it now.
It all happens for a reason. Yeah.
You're doing it now. That's all that matters.
What'd you say, Nafees?
Oh, I said you weren't doing counseling at that time?
Oh, no. No, we talked about it all the time, but we never could find like a way or a time to do it. And like even now for counseling now, even though I found the person, Matt initiated it. Like he started to go and then was like, I want to do couples counseling. Like, will you go with me? And I was just like, sure.
Like, okay.
Yeah. And it was like great. I don't know why I drug my feet about it, but I don't know. Maybe I was like nervous to do it because it's hard. Like, you don't know how much you haven't talked about. And then, I know what it's like to go to counseling by myself and you like talk about things that you don't really normally talk about. So I'm like, I hope this ends well. Like, I hope he doesn't go in there and tell me how much he hates me or something. Like, I was just so nervous. I don't know.
You need to come in tomorrow.
Yeah. You're terrible. Like, all these years I've been holding this in. I'm so unhappy. Yeah, but it turned out great. It was just irrational thinking. But,
how did you guys pick your therapist? Because I was reading that whether you get better or not really does depend on who your therapist is and how they work with you. So how did you guys decide who was the correct fit for you?
Well, I found like one of my coworkers gave me his name. He's a licensed clinical social worker. So I'm always like, I'm a little biased. LCSWs are the best because we see the person in the environment. And like, that's what I'm going for is my LCSW. And you usually have to have a master's in social work. And sometimes people also have a bachelor's in social work. So that person is going to, the type of therapy you're going to get is going to be like you and your environment. It's going to be like a holistic approach rather than like if you go to a licensed mental health counselor who they usually do holistic too, but it's just a little different. Like we look at resources, we look at everything. So I kind of already felt like it was good. And then it was a male. So for Matt, I felt like that might have been a good fit, but I think for me personally, I knew was that he spoke the same language as like us. Like and he was very open-minded. He's very good at like validating your feelings because sometimes therapists will forget to validate you and like nothing you say is wrong. And so you should always be validated for how you feel because that's your experience. So just the things like the way that he would talk to us and then the advice that he would give, like, I felt like it aligned with the life, like our outlook on life and the way that we choose to like live our lives. So sometimes you can get ones, like that are really religious or very much stuck in like psychoeducation or like which is just like, they're always just teaching you about your diagnosis and they don't really get away from your diagnosis kind of thing. And I don't really care for that either because I'm not really big on labels. But that was how I knew.
Earlier, you were saying that he spoke the same language as you guys. Like, what do you mean by that?
Like, I feel like he understands like our liberalness about like he's yeah. Okay. And so, I don't know how to put it. Like he knows like how we want to raise our kids. Like he understands it. And, sometimes people can be more like authoritative. Like I just feel like his lifestyle and the way that he views life is very similar to ours. Like spiritually, like he can go down that path in the way that we talk about spirituality. Like he's very open-minded to the things that we bring to him and is knowledgeable in those areas where some counselors or therapists might not be able to meet you where you are or the needs that you have specifically for like maybe your religion or your like the way that you want to parent or if you're a part of the LGBTQ community and you go to see a therapist and they're not open to that, like you want to make sure you find somebody that kind of has that same background or alignedness with you, even though they're not really supposed to bring their opinions at all to therapy. We're human, so it happens,
Yeah.
So
you can tell basically by how they respond. to what you're saying. Okay.
You'll know when you have a bad therapist. Like when you go in for your first meeting with a therapist and it's typically like they'll go over like all their consents and stuff, but then they'll do like a biopsychosocial where they're asking you like what brought you in. They'll ask you about your childhood, about your family, about these things. And when you're sharing like things that bother you or that you're wanting to work on, like you'll know based on like how they validate you, like how follow-up questions that they ask you. Like if it's something very specific to your culture or religion or to your outlook on like how women or men should be or something like that, like you'll know facial expressions you can see, or you can know, like you can just tell by their response to you. And if it makes you feel uncomfortable or invalidated in any way, they're probably not the one for you. And I would recommend you tell them, like, I feel very, very unvalidated by you right now, because sometimes they might not realize it, but to check them, like it's a relationship here. Like this goes both ways, so, but you'll know when you don't click with a therapist, like you could tell. And usually by the third session, if you don't feel like you're getting what you should get out of it, then you should probably look for somebody else.
Since the pandemic thing is happening now, would you think it's better to do in-person or virtual sessions?
What do you guys do now? Do you do in-person or virtual?
We do virtual.
It started in person, though.
Yeah, it did.
And it switched to virtual because of the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think either is fine. I think, like, clinically speaking, if you have more severe symptoms, then probably in person is better. Or if you're like, like dealing with severe depression or suicidality, however you say that word, you should probably do in person just because you get more connection that way. Like having the person to person connection is a little better. But if you just have you just need somebody to talk to, or you don't feel like the things that you're going through are that serious, virtual is great. Like, I think we do it the same way, kind of like we're doing now. You meet, it's not Skype, but it's like similar to Skype. So
I preferred in person because I don't think I could have been as open, like meeting him for the first time and tell him like my whole life story. I don't think I could have done it as openly and honestly online. So it was nice being in his, kind of how Rebecca was saying, like, when you know, like you walk into his office and there's a couch and a bunch of spiritual stuff like Buddhism and elephants and those bowls that you play with a little stick. It just felt zen and it smelled good. Had tissues on the table. So, I was crying the first session. So if it was online, I probably wouldn't have been brought to tears like if it was online the first time, because I would have been missing out on all that sensory stuff.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You'll get to know like the type of therapist or like counselor that you have by like their office, and everybody has like a different style and different background in teachings that they use, and different outlook. Like some people are very stuck, like psychologists and things like that can be more technical and stuck to like your diagnosis, where others are more like spiritual and open, and some down the middle. So, it just really depends on the person that you get, but you'll feel it. Like you'll kind of know, like if you feel uncomfortable in any way, like you'll know, okay, this isn't the person for me. And it's okay to say that to them. And if they're a really good therapist, they'll help you find another one that fits what you need better, because that's what they should do for help, to continue on. Like that would be a truly good clinician, is somebody that will help you find somebody that fits you better. And they're open to it. Like clinicians should know, like not every client is for every clinician, and they'll be okay with you telling them like, you make me, I feel uncomfortable, or I don't feel like we're a good fit. And they'd be like, oh, that's fine. I totally get it, and help you to move on. So
that's true, because I cannot talk today.
It's fine, we never can.
Vulnerability is a really difficult thing to do. So yeah, it makes sense.
Yes. And they should make you feel comfortable at all times. Like you should not, because like Matt said, he had a bad experience, and that was not cool. Like this is somewhere you're going to tell that's somebody that's supposed to help you. Like out of all people in the world, like that should help you. It should be this person that you're going to literally pay them to do that. And they go to school for that. And then they're like invalidating your feelings, making you feel uncomfortable, making you feel like something's wrong with you. Like that's not a good look at all. Whether that was their intention or not, it happened. So
How do you think it's different from having like a really good friend to talk to? How's therapy different from that?
I think because it's a trained professional. So it's like the difference between me giving Rebecca a massage and then her going to a professional who knows like the muscles and like the way the muscles run, the pressure points and stuff like that. Like the therapist, like that's what they do. So the friend, I think, is a good start because it's important to have someone to talk to and share things with. But I don't think you should go to your friend for therapy.
That's also a lot of pressure on the friend, too, I feel like, because everyone's situation's different. So they'll try their best. Like, I don't know why, but I feel like I'm the person a lot of people like to talk to, which is fine. I don't mind hearing your problems. but at the same time, I either can't relate or like I don't want to worry about your problems and my problems at the same time. So I don't mind being a helping hand, but there is a certain point where I'd be like, okay, I think you need to, talk to a professional because I can't be stressing myself worrying about your problems and then also my problems. Or you may just not have the advice
they're looking for.
Exactly. That too. Because I could tell you one thing and it'd be terrible advice of what you really need. So.
Right. And we all have our we all have our programming from childhood. So let's say you're talking to them about a relationship and your partner does something. Like if I've had a bad experience in my past with partners, I'm going to be like, oh no, you need to drop them. Yep. Like they need, you know what I mean? Like I'm going to give you from my perspective and my programming or my like experiences. And like Simone was saying, it might not always be the best for your situation.
Right.
So, or they may tell you like, you may be telling them about your partner who has like major red flags and you're telling somebody and they're like, oh, that's fine, girl. Like that's not a problem. Like, or women,
and it's like, oh no.
Yeah. Like, and they're like totally being abusive and you're like, oh, well, my friend said it's fine.
Like,
so
no, girl. Right. You need to call somebody. Preferably the cops.
So you just don't know.
God.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, Simone really took the leap there.
I'm sorry. That actually will tie into our last question. If you guys have any advice for not only our listeners, but me and Nafees when it comes to relationships. Because like I said, I'm not the best at opening up to new people. Especially if I want to date you, especially never being in a relationship before or dating around. So there's just like a lot of fears that come in my head. Like, oh, will this person not want to date me because I've never been in a relationship before into an experience, or just there's a lot of things. Or, oh, I'm not going to be able to really open up because I'm not used to this. Making sure it's a healthy relationship. I don't know. There's just a lot of things. Nafees, do you have any questions or
I think
concerns?
I have the same fears
the same
as you.
Ones? Okay. Or just I'm also even just bad.
I'm just very turned off by relationships right now, but.
Well, it's also because I had another question. It was like, do you think the pandemic made it harder just to meet new people? Because I'm terrified of online dating. I'm already bad at flirting with people in real life. If I don't know you, I can't flirt through text or call or anything like that. So. And I also don't know when someone's flirting with me because I think everyone's just trying to be my friend. So I'd just be like, oh, he was just very nice. And they'll be like, no, Simone, they're flirting with you. I'm like, really? You think so? So, yeah. a lot of problems.
Yeah. I think if first you have to figure out what type of relationship you want. Like, do you really want someone to share experiences with? Are you looking for companionship, just a friend to talk to, to have a good time with?
That's good advice.
Because I think if you go into something looking for a long-term relationship and you think somebody's cute, you might try to make that person fit into that long-term relationship box. where the other person might be looking for something completely different. And then, so that communication of what each of you wants is important, but knowing what yourself wants, like, I think deciphering between, am I lonely? Do I just want a friend? Or, okay, am I ready to actually have a relationship with somebody? Not just think they're cute and like go on dates, but like they come home 4 nights a week and have a bad day. And am I still going to be able to enjoy them, like see the good side of them, support them, be enough for myself? Like, it's a lot more that goes into it that I think we don't think about beforehand. And it's very surprising, like, when you get to those points, because there are great times, but there's also dark times, and you have to know how to navigate those. And so I would just say, figure out what you want. I think, Nafees, that you said, like, you're not ready right now. I think you said that earlier. Like, that's great, because it's something like that's a solid thing that you know. And then Simone, like, it sounds like you know yourself, like you don't know whether people are flirting or being nice. Like those are things that'll help you.
Yeah, that's also
navigate.
with like the past too, because I have a tendency to try to get to know people, but I wait too long. So like if I did have crushes when I was younger, they'd always end up being my friends. So when I actually did start becoming crushed on them, they just saw me as a friend or like a little sister. And I was like, no, that wasn't my intention. So
yes, that was me too.
Yeah, that always also
that was me too
growing up a lot. So,
but I will say though that is not a bad thing to be somebody's friend first. Like I was always the same way. Like if I like somebody, I would be kind of like awkward, but I would be like, well, let's be friends first and like get to know them on a friendship level. And I was always that girl that was like friend zone, but I liked it because then I got to know genuinely like who they are and see them in relationships and stuff like that. And like get to know, like, is that something that I still like about them too? And like Matt was saying about like relationships, like it's like once you get past that lust or infatuation phase into that comfortable phase, like love is rough, bro. Like it's great when it's great, but it's hard because we're all human and like we're two people trying to come together to make one life. And like there's things that he likes to do that I'm like, I don't want to do that. But, you'll have to compromise or like if I'm in a bad mood, like I'm not always the nicest person. So like, are you still going to like me at my worst? Or do I always have to like pretend to be somebody that's so great? Like, so it's hard and it takes true commitment to be like long term with somebody. And so I feel like movies and society make it look so fun and exciting. But there's a time where like you get into the monotony of it. Like you get up, go to work, come home, make dinner. Like, and is that somebody that you still are going to be happy to see every day, So.
All right.
But Matt gives great advice, like know yourself first and your wants and your needs and your likes and your dislikes, and then just put it out there into the universe. And if it happens, it happens, but don't force it happening, because if you end up with a lemon, that's a long life to be with a lemon.
Very true. Very true. I mean, I know I'm like Nafees. I know I'm not ready for one right now, and I don't want one right now because I think I've expressed this before. Like, I would like to move sometime before I'm 30, just out of this state. So I don't want to get in a relationship and feel like I'm stuck here. Like, that is one of my goals.
Yeah.
So. And even if I did end up in a relationship, it's like I would choose living somewhere else first. That's just because that was something I've always wanted. So I don't know if that sounds selfish or not.
No, it's not selfish at all, Simone. You take that out of your mind. What you want and going after what you want is nowhere near being selfish. That is being true to who you are and being authentic to who you are. And that is the highest form of self-love you can possibly get. And somebody will be attracted to that self-love and that authenticity. And if they're the right person and you do fall in love before you move, they'll be willing to go with you and have no problem with it.
Mm-hmm.
So
don't settle.
Yeah.
Don't settle.
That's my worst fear, is settling and anything, not even just relationships.
Yeah.
Yeah. And,
just
relationships can look so different now. I mean, like, there's people that are getting married but still live in 2 different households, or they're getting married and live in 2 different states. Like, if you love somebody and that's your person, like, you'll figure it out.
Or you could do common law and not even get married. I mean,
yeah,
it's whatever you want. It's whatever you want.
New day and age. It is a new day and age. Nafees, did you have any more questions? I think we pretty much went over everything.
Yeah, I think we covered everything.
I mean, thank you guys for doing this with us, because we plan to do this, but like, as you can see, 2 very inexperienced people talking about relationships probably wouldn't have gone well. So it's nice to like get it from a couple, also get advice for ourselves and people that are listening, because I'm sure we have a lot of listeners around me and Nafees' age. So hopefully it helps them too. I'm sure it will, though. Because like you guys said, society and like just movies just make it seem so glamorous when it's really not. And they also just don't talk about, like, I would really like to see a movie one day where it just focuses on friendships, because I feel like there are some, but like it doesn't really show the true dynamics of friendships, or we just don't think about friendships. Because like what Matt was saying, like, you never know if you're lonely and you want like an actual partner, or you're just lonely because you want friends. Because I feel like friendships, especially like when you're not friends with someone you're really close to, sometimes can hurt just as much or even worse than like partner relationships.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. This was really fun. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, I enjoyed this.
Thanks for coming back.
Thanks for coming back.
Sure.
Anytime.
You're always welcome to come back if you want to talk about just anything. If you want to give more advice. I don't know if I told Nafees this, but I would really like one day if me, her, Rebecca, maybe even Michaela, like every now and then sometimes just do like a random girl chat. I feel like that'd be fun.
Yeah, that would be fun.
So we'll have to make plans for that in the future. But does anyone else want to give any closing thoughts? I don't want to keep everyone here for too long. I don't know what everyone's daily plans is.
I hope our children haven't like Lord of the Flies out there.
Like that. I don't know if it's a meme or it's from a movie where the guy comes in and like everything's on fire and all the employees are just like running around.
Yeah, that's what I feel like is out there. They're very quiet though, so I'm like, I don't know if that's good or even worse, like than if they were super loud.
My last tidbit would probably be to if you're thinking about relationships, you should start with yourself and start with loving yourself. Because a lot of those, like 2 of my favorite sayings, you love thy neighbor as you love yourself. It's not like love your neighbor more than you love yourself. And then do unto others as you would have them do unto you. So it's like you and other people should be equal. So take care of yourself and love yourself. And you could even start therapy now before you get in the relationship.
Yeah. That's something I keep talking about. I really need to look into it. I keep procrastinating. So I'm sure I have the same fears Rebecca did before she went. So that's also another thing. How do you just get over the fear? You just got to do it.
You just got to jump in.
Make the appointment.
Yeah.
I was terrified.
That's right. Make the appointment. That's probably the hardest part. And then show up for the first appointment. Because my thing, I'd be like, I'd make that appointment and be like, do I really want to go today?
My head is itching a little bit.
Like, it's right there. All I have to do is turn it off and walk inside. Or you can back up
and there's no obligation to continue.
That's true too. Like if you don't have a good experience, you can even in the middle of the session be like, and be honest, say like, I'm really nervous to be here. Like I'm having some like anxiety, because you might not have to get into everything in the first session, or they might only say, okay, well, tell me what you feel comfortable with talking about. Like their job is to help you through that, and they're skilled and trained to do that. So just be genuinely like authentic of like how you're feeling in that moment. Like it's not something like you have to like, pull back all your layers and be like, here I am, kind of thing. So
that's understandable.
But you guys can do it. I have faith.
Thank you.
Did it get expensive for you guys?
We have health insurance. So it's to give you a price. I think it was $20 for me when I was by myself.
I think it's $35.
It was $35 for me?
For both of us. Yeah, by ourselves. It's like it's the specialist copay.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, when I went by myself, I think it was lower. I think it was like $25.
Oh, maybe.
But we go together and it's $35 per session. But but that's with Florida healthcare insurance.
Yeah, so like if you have health insurance, look through, like you can either call the number on the back of your card or you can go online or whatever and look for people that accept that. Because like Nafees, you have Florida healthcare, right? Through the schools? Yeah. So the Florida healthcare is amazing in the sense that they have like a ton of people that are only dedicated to Florida healthcare. And they are seeing people, I guess depending on the client, like the clinician, if they're seeing people in person, but they're definitely seeing them online because they have it approved right now to do online therapy. And I would recommend an LCSW, but that's just my bias.
What is that?
It's a licensed clinical social worker.
Will it usually tell you?
And you'll see it after their name. Like, so you'll, like if you go online or something, or if you call the 1-800 number, you can either ask, can you tell me all the LCSWs in my area? Or if you go online, you'll see like their name and then it'll say like comma LCSW. But you know, that's just my bias, because I think that we do such a great job of like empowering our clients, but also making you feel super comfortable. Like there's no like forcing, and they're going to meet you right where you are. So if you're like, I'm really nervous, I don't really know anything about this, like they'll take the time to like go slow with you and like make you feel comfortable typically. So.
Gotcha.
All right. Well, yeah, that was a good talk, guys. Learned a lot.
That was.
Couples, relationship, friendships, family, and therapy. Most importantly, love yourself, everybody.
Love yourself.
Anything else you wanted to say or ask, Nafees?
No, I'm
You're good. All right, guys. Well, thank you for listening to this special Valentine's episode today. You can find us everywhere that you listen to podcasts. Don't forget to subscribe. I cannot talk to the podcast and give us, 5 stars on Apple Podcasts or anywhere. I don't know if there's a ranking on anywhere else besides Apple. Well, you can give us some stars there and some comments. We're still waiting on those emails. Any comments, let us know how we're doing. Ask us some questions. It can be sent through our social medias at I Was Thinking Pod on Instagram and Twitter, or at the email iwasthinkingpod@gmail.com. All right, thank you, and we'll see you guys next time. Everyone say bye. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Thank y'all.